I checked my bag for the third time, and with each pass, anxiety tightened its grip on my chest. Wallet? Check. Plane tickets printed on thick glossy paper rustled pleasantly under my fingers. Phone, charger, headphones, all present and accounted for. But something felt wrong. An ominous emptiness gnawed at me. I went through the contents of the bag again and again, as if hoping the passport had simply nestled itself between a book and my makeup bag, playing hide and seek. But it wasn't there. The passport was gone. A cold dread seized me, paralyzing me. Tomorrow was my flight to Berlin. Berlin! A city I'd only seen in pictures and dreams, a city where an internship at Cyberdyne awaited me, a prestigious IT company coveted by programmers worldwide. An internship I'd fought tooth and nail for, surviving 3 rounds of interviews, grueling tests, and sleepless nights coding. It was my chance, a ticket to a new life, a world of vast opportunities, professional growth, and recognition. And now it was all collapsing like a house of cards, crumbling into dust because of some stupid oversight. I sank onto the edge of the bed, feeling my legs give way. One thought pounded in my head. Passport, where is it? Maybe it was left at work? No, I distinctly remembered putting it in my bag when I was getting ready to go home. Could it have fallen out in the taxi? Pointless. I didn't remember the cab number. At the cafe? In a store? The possibilities flashed through my mind like frames of fast-forwarded film, but none seemed plausible. I had always been organized, meticulous, never losing important things. It was this very meticulousness that had helped me achieve everything I had. And now? My brother, Jason's, had poked through the bedroom door. He was, as always, carelessly dressed in a stretched-out t-shirt and sweatpants, his hair disheveled, his gaze unfocused. Jason was my complete opposite, carefree, frivolous, living for the moment. We were like yin and yang, 2 sides of the same coin, but recently, a chasm seemed to have opened up between us. "What are you sniveling about now?" he drawled, yawning. "More of your computer games?" "Jason, I have a problem." My voice trembled. "I can't find my passport. My flight is tomorrow, and the passport is gone." He waved a dismissive hand and slumped onto the sofa, squinting at the bright light of the television, which seemed to never be turned off in our apartment. Scenes from some vapid reality show flickered across the screen. "Come on, Laura," he said, not taking his eyes off the screen. "Don't get so worked up. You're not going to have any career abroad anyway. You don't even speak German properly." "Danke schön, guten Tag, that's your whole vocabulary." His words cut me to the core like a knife. There was more than just mockery in them. There was a kind of gloating glee. I had always felt that Jason was envious of my successes, my ambition, but I never thought his envy could be so cruel. "It was my dream, Jason," I whispered, frantically shuffling papers on the desk, as if hoping the passport would suddenly materialize out of thin air. "The internship at Cyberdyne, working in Berlin. It was everything I wanted." "Dream," he drawled with irony. "Well, keep dreaming then. Chicago's not so bad either. You work in your little office, poke around in code, no one bothers you. Why do you need Berlin? It's just problems there. Refugees, terrorists." Did you happen to take my passport?" Suddenly, like a lightning bolt, a terrible suspicion struck me. Jason, he could have done it. He could have deliberately hidden my passport to stop me from leaving. But why? He feigned surprise, portraying the utmost innocence on his face. "My passport? Why would I need your passport? I haven't even seen your passport. What, you think I stole it? Come on, Laura. It's just... You've always been so unpredictable," I stammered, trying to control the tremor in my voice. "You might joke without thinking about the consequences." "Joke? With a passport? You're delusional!" Jason sighed theatrically and pretended to be engrossed in the television again. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw the twitch at the corner of his lip, the strange, unkind glint in his eyes. "Okay," he said suddenly, as if remembering something important. "Actually, wait. I think I saw something like that a couple of days ago. When I went to the post office, they have a trash can there. A big one, green. And, yeah, I think I saw something red there. Well, like a passport cover. But that was a couple of days ago. Who knows where it is now?" My heart plummeted into an abyss. A trash can a couple of days ago. This was the end. This was a disaster. I couldn't make it in time for anything. Even if the passport really was in the trash, even if by some miracle it hadn't been taken away yet, I didn't have time to go to the post office, look for it there, and then run around to all the authorities trying to get a new passport in one day. It was impossible. Tears welled up in my eyes. I turned away from Jason, not wanting to show him my weakness, my pain. But he seemed to revel in my despair. I felt his gaze, heavy and sticky like a spiderweb. I missed my flight. At the airport, a cold, indifferent check-in counter awaited me. Indifferent faces of airline staff, an indifferent announcement that boarding for the Berlin-Chicago flight was complete. My ticket to Berlin, my ticket to a new life, had turned into a useless piece of paper. Cyberdyne didn't wait. They had other candidates ready to start immediately. A week later, I received a formal letter with apologies and a notification that the vacancy was closed. My dream shattered into pieces. I spent several weeks in apathy, not leaving the house, not answering calls from friends, not wanting to see anyone. I felt empty, betrayed, robbed. Jason, as if nothing had happened, continued to live his normal life, going to work, watching television, joking and laughing. He never apologized, never admitted that he was to blame for my misfortune. He just pretended that nothing had happened. But I didn't forget. I forgot nothing. The pain, the bitterness, the resentment, it all accumulated within me, day after day, week after week, turning into a cold, calculated thirst for revenge. I vowed to myself that Jason would pay for everything. He took away my dream, he stole my future, and I would make him suffer. A year later, the Berlin office of Cyberdyne gleamed with glass and steel, a symbol of modern technological power. I stood in the office of my new boss, Mr. Schmidt, holding a thick contract printed on expensive paper in my hands. Sunlight flooded the office through panoramic windows, reflecting off the polished surface of the desk. Berlin lay at my feet. Spread out below is a mosaic of streets, parks, and skyscrapers. "We are impressed with your cybersecurity skills, Miss Carter, Mr. Schmidt said with a slight German accent. His gaze was penetrating and assessing, especially how you found vulnerabilities in our competitors' systems. Your report was very convincing. I smiled, hiding an ocean of emotions behind that smile. Experience with nasty people is the best teacher, Mr. Schmidt. He raised an eyebrow slightly, as if catching some hidden meaning in my words, but didn't press further. Well, we are pleased to have you on our team, Miss Carter. Welcome to Cyberdyne. In the evening, in a cozy cafe on the banks of the Spree, as I enjoyed a cup of fragrant coffee and the view of the evening city, a message arrived on my phone from Mom. Just a few words, but they turned my world upside down. Jason is in trouble. His company went bankrupt due to a hacker attack. All client data leaked online. A strange coincidence, especially considering that a month ago, when I accidentally glanced at his website, out of mere curiosity, I discovered that his servers were completely unprotected. As if he himself had left the door open for a breach. Just blatant incompetence in security matters. For an IT company, it was tantamount to suicide. I couldn't believe my luck. Fate seemed to have thrown me a chance I couldn't miss. A month ago, I accidentally found vulnerabilities in his system. A month ago, I accidentally copied all his client data, saving it on a secure server. A month ago, I accidentally developed a program that could simulate a hacker attack, disable his servers, and leak data online, but also leave traces pointing to an external intrusion, not an internal leak. It was the perfect plan, perfect revenge, and I decided to put it into action. Retribution. Jason stood on the threshold of my Berlin loft, like a shadow of his former self, haggard, pale, with trembling hands. His eyes were full of despair and fear. He looked 10 years older than he had a year ago, all his self-confidence, his arrogance, his complacency, all gone like smoke. "Laura, you have to help," he croaked, his voice trembling. "Please, I'm facing jail time for losing client data. The police. The FBI. They're pressuring me, saying it's my fault that I'm to blame for the leak." I poured myself a glass of red wine, not offering him any. He stood, like a guilty boy, on the threshold of my luxurious apartment in this city I had once dreamed of, but couldn't reach because of him. "Help?" I asked calmly, taking a sip of wine. "Help you? And how did you help me with my passport, Jason? How did you help me fly to Berlin? How did you help me realize my dream?" I don't know what you're talking about," he mumbled, averting his gaze, but I saw his eyes darting betrayingly, his lips trembling. He was lying. As always. "You're lying, Jason," I said, my voice cold and hard as ice. "You're lying as you always lied. You've always been a liar and a coward. You were jealous of me. You wanted to humiliate me. You wanted to ruin my life. And you did, but you miscalculated, Jason. You thought I'd break, that I'd give up. But you don't know me. I'm stronger than you think." I opened the laptop that was on the table. The screen lit up brightly, illuminating his pale face. "Do you want to know who hacked your system, Jason? Do you want to know who destroyed your company, who sent you to the bottom?" Graphs, diagrams, lines of code. IP addresses appeared on the screen, his own IP addresses, the addresses of his servers, the addresses of his computers. All his sins were laid bare for all to see. His eyes widened in horror. This is impossible. Where? How? Possible, Jason, I said, looking him straight in the eye. Everything is possible when you're dealing with professionals. You left the door open yourself, Jason. You yourself didn't take care of your company's security. You were careless, negligent, overconfident. And I just pushed the door that was already open. I just took advantage of your stupidity. I took another sip of wine, savoring the moment of his complete and utter defeat. Now you have nothing, Jason. No company, no reputation, no future. Just like I had no chance a year ago, thanks to you. Now we're even. He lunged at me like a wounded animal, clenching his fists. But he was weak. He was broken. He posed no threat to me. Besides, I was prepared for such a turn of events. The security guards I had prudently called were already entering the door, calmly and professionally. They grabbed Jason by the arms, twisted them behind his back, and led him out of the apartment, not letting him say a word. By the way, I said to his back as he was being led away, Mom is right. You really have always been the weakest link, Jason. The weakest link in the chain. The next morning, over breakfast, I turned on the television. The news broadcast a short report about the suicide of the former CEO of a small IT firm from Chicago. Police are investigating, but the preliminary version is suicide against the backdrop of company bankruptcy and criminal prosecution. I turned off the television, not listening to the report to the end. I ordered another portion of revenge, this time dessert, at my favorite cafe. Chocolate brownie with a scoop of vanilla ice cream. After all, revenge is a dish best served cold, and I had only just started my dinner. There were many more courses to come, and I intended to savor each one.